So as we move into this week's telehealth class, this is all about the telehealth and what even is a telehealth? What's the purpose of a telehealth? How does a telehealth serve the overall picture for not only us, but our practice members too? What do we need to think about when we're putting together a rock solid telehealth session? All of it. We're going to go over all of it. I want to remind all of our club members that there is a closet on the drive. And if you go into the Facebook group and you go into the guides, you're going to see a link to the closet. And the closet is all of the forms that I give you access to that I not only use in my own practice, but that you guys are welcome to add to the closet too. If you have a document that you think would be a really great fit, make sure you send it to me. Don't just add it to the closet so that we can proofread it, edit it, take personalized information out, all that stuff. So today what we're going into is the telehealth call. And here's what happened. Spring of 2020, the world changed overnight. And all of a sudden, all of these doctors and private practitioners, really the boutique practices of the country, of the world, lost their staff. And we needed a new way to filter out I'm just getting distracted because I'm wondering if Tammy knows Jen Santos. Do you guys know each other? You got to meet each other. Okay. So, so all of the wellness practitioners of the world all of a sudden are in this place where they don't have somebody sitting at the front desk who's going to whisper to you or give you the baseball signal that this person is one of those people, or this person is drunk, or this person is money hungry, or this person is dishonest, or whatever it is, because we all know you just don't know who's walking through your doors, right? So when I went staffless, which was, like in the fall of 2019, I really needed to find a way to protect myself from the question mark of who is about to walk in my doors. I wanted to not only be prepared, but I also wanted to make sure that I was giving them the best service possible when they walked into my office. Here's an example. If I bring, hi Veronica, if I bring somebody into my practice and they're allergic to peanut butter, this is the perfect example for this. And they have like an anaphylactic reaction to peanut butter. I have a 17-year-old who uses my office as a private study when I'm not there. He eats all day long. He goes through the cabinets of my office, stuffing his face, and there's like a crumb trail for him. I know when he's been there. Let's just put it that way, okay? And I want him to be able to do that. I want him to feel like he has free access to my stuff. But if I have a new patient coming in on Monday morning and the 2-year-old has an anaphylactic reaction to peanut butter and my kid leaves a breadcrumb trail with peanut butter all over it, I need to prepare for that. This is part of what I do in a telehealth session. You guys get that? It's too late come Monday morning at 9:01 if their 9 o'clock appointment is there. I show up 10 minutes before my patients get there, literally, and I walk out the door with them with everything done. I need that in order to, and Veronica can attest to that. She's seen me walk out of my office. Let me walk you to your car, Sally. Like that's literally how I roll, right? So I want to make sure that when I'm in this call, when I'm taking on a new practice member, not only am I protecting my space, but I'm also protecting their space, because it always comes down to the protection of time, energy, and money. Okay. In this case, it would be the protection of energy with the peanut butter because it's the body, the physical body needs to be protected. The other thing that happened is we went into the first time of 23 years in practice where I didn't know if I was physically safe with somebody that I didn't know. I didn't know what virus they were processing. I didn't know what their personal policy was on masks or jobs or whatever it was, right? I just didn't know. And I needed a time to meet with them to go over some basic agreements. Like, let's lay the groundwork for us working together, make sure it's a fit. And if it is a fit, let's continue on. That's what the telehealth is about. The first question that comes up for people is, do I charge for my telehealth? And it's really, it comes down to A, what's allowed in your area. And so compliance, right? And B, you know, in my world, the only thing that I'm allowed to give away for free is a consult. That's what the state of New Jersey tells me. So my telehealth logistically can be free, but I actually weave it into my initial consultation process, and it's part of the $200 that a new patient pays to be in my office. We do telehealth, and then we do visit one in person, and visit one in person is we've already established that we're a fit. So that part's over. We've already established if they've got allergies or anything like that. We've already established the rules in my practice around time, energy, money, right? It's all happens in the telehealth, which we're going to dive into in a second. So then literally, you guys, they walk into my office. They've already watched the video of what my practice is all about. They've already seen the inside of my practice because it's all in the video. And Lise, that's what I just laid on your plate, the new client system, right? So now they walk in the office and I say, Sally, it's so good to meet you in person, go face down. And we get to work. And I say the telehealth is about me listening with my ears. The first visit is about me listening with my hands and my heart. Okay. So any questions so far? If you guys look in the chat, you're going to see the PDF for this lesson. It's also in the guides inside of the Facebook group. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so this is just kind of an outline of what I want you to think about when you move into a telehealth. If you're a Staffless Practice Academy student, you're going to find this in the Abundance Driven Practice. That's a course inside of the Academy, and it's inside of, I don't remember what class I put it in, but it's a brand new lesson and it will be in this week's newsletter where it is. So the first thing you want to do is you want to prepare for the telehealth. This is really, really important. So I have a therapist, like a psychotherapist, and I haven't been to her physical office in like 10 years. I've been her patient for like 30 years, my whole adult life. And she's like one of these people I check in with if my cup runs over, and like I'll do like 6 months of therapy and then I won't talk to her for a few years. I've just always used her in this way. And when I'm with her in person, I try not to look at how disorganized her office is. So now, for whatever reason, she only does telehealth sessions, and there's a lot of shit going on in my world. So I'm like, I need some sessions. So I'm in the telehealth class, and in the background, I'm looking at the papers falling out of the desk. And you guys, I'm thinking to myself, A, it's distracting because I'm a neat freak, right? It's kind of like having a fan going when you're looking at somebody on Zoom, and it's like all you can do is watch the fan when you really want to focus in on the person that you're talking to. So you want to make sure in the preparation of the telehealth that your background is simple. It doesn't overwhelm the eye. It's like if you look at, Veronica's got their stuff in her bookcase I'd want to weed through, right? Like, so I'd probably say to Veronica, turn your angle just a little bit. With Lise, I'd probably make it so that I don't see her printer. Maybe I'd even ask her to back up to that file cabinet so that that's the only thing I see in the background. Tammy, we're going to work on it. Debbie, we're going to work on it. So I want you guys to have a really simple background. And you can see if I turn just a little bit, you see my angel. So there's literally an angel sitting on my shoulder. Do you see it? So there's a window right here with natural light. I used to have all of this stuff in my background and it was overwhelming. It overwhelmed me, right? So simple background. Make sure that your internet connection is solid. Don't go into a telehealth session online if you don't know that you have good internet. Otherwise, do it on the phone. I don't love the phone for this because, we're one-dimensionally connecting, right? For a lot of us anyway, if we don't tap into other dimensions. And if you can see the person, it's one more sense for them that's being nurtured during the session. Okay, so make sure you've got a solid internet connection. Make sure you guys, it's a matter of having a checklist of reminders, and we're going to go into that in a minute. I really like to take the time to highlight and red pen and print out their health history form so that I can flip through it on the call and they can see that I've red penned it and highlighted it, that I've taken the time to prepare for them. It's a big deal. Okay. Turn your alerts off on your phone. Tell your family I'm going into a meeting. Don't bother me. So that's how we prepare for the telehealth.
Question?
Yeah.
So prior to your telehealth, you have had them fill out stuff.
Prior to the way it works in my world is they book on Jane.
Mm-hmm.
They pay the $200. They, we schedule their initial consultation. So we schedule, I want say on when I'm going to do this specific appointment. So my team will schedule it. We'll see that appointment has come through, the appointment request has come through, and we'll schedule it. They'll then get an email saying you're all set for your telehealth. This is what we're going to do. This is what comes after. That email, Lisa, would be sent either through a HIPAA compliant channel on G Suite. I actually use a program called Attractwell, which is where school lives. It's a canned response email or an email template. All of this is going to be in your new client system course. Okay. So they're already prepared. They're prepared visually because I sent them a video. They're prepared. They have to go through filling out the history form. All of that stuff happens. The next piece is, let me just go back to sharing my screen. We're going to greet them. So we made it into the telehealth. We've connected the portals, and all of the ethers and powers that be have aligned us into this virtual space. We find a way to make a warm connection with them. And let's say that Tammy is my new practice member, and I saw that Tammy played soccer in high school, and that would be my warm connection. I'd pick something that we have in common. Like, I see that you were a soccer player. I was too. Where'd you go to high school? And we would have no more than 1 minute of a warm connection so that we feel like right off the bat, we've got something in common. That's the warm handshake. Okay. Make them feel comfortable, find a commonality to connect on. The second thing is the promise. And again, this is a new client system. The promise is you want to think about your perfect practice member. You want to think about what they would want to be promised during this time together. My promise to my telehealth people is I promise you that by the end of this time together, we're going to know if I'm the right person to serve you. And if I am, I'm the best at what I do. I'm going to take great care of you. If I'm not the right chiropractor for you right now, I'm going to put you in the hands of the person who is. I promise you, I'm not going to waste your time or your money. Does that sound good, Sally? So that's the promise. And there's an agreement. Sally's saying, yes, that sounds good. You figure out what your promise needs to be. You figure out what you think your people need to be promised on. Okay. After you've promised, you're going to be listening. You're going to do a lot of listening during this call, but you want to frame the listening to protect your time, energy, money. So it would sound something like this. Sally, I see on your health history that you've got a lot going on. You're experiencing migraines every Tuesday at 3 o'clock. I want to take like 5 minutes and I want to hear all about what that looks like for you. So go ahead and tell me. And Sally could tell me for 5 seconds, but I've given Sally permission to go on for 5 minutes. And you do nothing during that time but listen and take notes. If you're taking notes pen to paper, just write it all out. If you're taking notes on a keyboard, make sure that you've got a quiet keyboard. The keyboard that I like best is this keyboard. It's an Apple keyboard. And I like it a lot because people don't hear me. In general, people don't hear me clicking. There's nothing more annoying than trying to share something personal on a screen with somebody and listening to somebody typing. Okay. Then once they're done, you're going to recap what they told you using their words. So let's say that I did this call with Tammy, and Tammy was like, well, every Tuesday at 3, I get a migraine. Delete. Let's say that Tammy says, well, every Tuesday at 3, I get hungry for chocolate, and I just don't know why. And then I end up eating the chocolate, and then I need a nap, and then I'm out of chocolate, and I have to go to, let her go on and on. I'm going to use her words and repeat back to her, okay, every Tuesday at 3, you need chocolate. I'm not going to say something like, it looks like on a weekly basis, periodically, intermittently, you need magnesium and you're choosing. No, I'm using her words so that she feels like I heard her. The point of this is to establish trust. And it's also, quite frankly, to make sure that you're the right person to serve her. So I'm going to repeat back to them, here's what I heard you say to me. Did I miss anything? And they're going to be like, wow, this person really hears me. Because who's ever listening, right? Okay. Those are the main pieces of the telehealth. And then what I do is I give myself a checklist, and I'm going to pull that up in a minute. I just wanted to show you, this is the cheat sheet that I put in the closet. The telehealth cheat sheet, you're going to do your greeting. You're going to check the box when the greeting's been done. You're going to type out your promise 1 on this sheet. You're going to check the box when promise 1 has been done. This sheet is going to be in front of you when you meet with your practice member. You're going to have a file that's going to sit right next to your computer, right? A pretty folder with all of your cheat sheets for telehealth sitting in it. Okay. And then you pull this out, you write down the patient's name, you write down the date. If you're a pen to paper person, you can certainly do this on a computer, you guys. Write out your promise 1, your promise 2, like type that out before you print them up. What agreements do you need to be on the same page about? And then what questions are you going to ask them? The questions could be, why me, why now? The question could be, I see that you get migraines every Tuesday at 3 o'clock. Can you tell me more about that? The question could be, have you ever been to a massage therapist before, a chiropractor before, a PT before, things? And then finally, the recap. I need this checklist in front of me like I need air. Like if I don't have this checklist in front of me, I'm going off and I'm like, oh my God, tell me about your new sneakers. And everybody's my BFF. I want to hear all about it. Right. And then I get resentful because I'm out of exchange with time, energy, money. You get it? Okay. So the other thing I want to do is I want to show you what I do in Jane with this. And I go back and forth, I always say to you guys, nail your systems into the studs in the wall, but hold on to them lightly, because I might want to change this tomorrow. And if I want to change it tomorrow, I will, because that's how I roll. Let me go into, while I'm doing this and looking for my thing, does anybody have questions?
I'm sorry if you discussed this earlier and I missed it, but the purpose of the telehealth is more along the lines of just your consult process?
The purpose for me of the telehealth is to protect my time, energy, and money, and make sure before I bring somebody into my office that A, I'm the right person to serve them, B, I'm protecting anything that could come up. Like, here's another example. The woman I'm in a telehealth call with has a 2-year-old, or no, let's delete. The woman I'm in the telehealth call with tells me about her baby who has acid reflux. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm in the telehealth with her. I watch her breastfeeding. She doesn't know that I'm seeing all this happen. And then I watch her start to burp her baby like this, right? So what you see tells you so much about a person. If I see her burping her baby like this, I already know to bring that up when I do the exam on the baby. By the way, I've seen you burp this baby and we got to have a chat about it. So it's going to prepare you for all of the shockers. It's so that you're not shocked. It's an absorbency factor.
It makes a lot more sense in that terrible phone call where you just pray that they're going to answer. Like you actually,
I'm not a big fan of the phone call at all. And you guys, I can't bring up the thing in Jane, but if you're a Jane user and you need to go to templates, If you use templates in Jane, go over to the templates and just search SEWP, and you'll see all of my templates are there, and you want to use the telehealth form. And it's literally just a checklist. Like, I go over my fees. I go over any questions, like my questions here. Let me just share my screen again. These questions that come up often, I want to address them during my call. And they're usually around time, energy, or money. So I literally have a box here that says, talk about money, talk about time, talk about COVID, talk about masks, talk about running late. And I'll just have one word to trigger me to remember what I need to say. Like, the word would be late, and I check the box when I talk about it. The word would be refund, and I check the box when I talk about it. What do you need to mention to these people during this 15-minute meeting that could very well be free to protect your time, energy, and money? Because again, many of you don't have a team member doing this for you. By the way, this is a great thing to delegate to a team member when and if you do have staff, because it's not getting into their personal stuff, unless you do get into their health history during the call, which you can certainly do.
Question again?
Yeah.
So again, you might have already discussed this. I apologize for tuning in a few minutes late. When you say you charge $200, is that just a deposit, making sure they show up?
It's paying for the entire initial consultation. And if I'm like, you know what, Sally, I'm not the person to serve you, I'll just give them a refund. It happens maybe 1 out of 20 times, 30 times, because most of my people are referred by OBGYNs and pregnant women or a practice member.
So they're already filtered.
They already know that I'm like a wackadoodle and that I'm going to do this airy fairy weird stuff on them. Like, they already know my jam. That's why they're coming to me.
Okay. I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. They know I'm going to like wave my stuff over them and sprinkle fairy dust. I literally have fairy dust in my office, you guys. What else?
Jodi, I think maybe you probably already said this, but can you give an example of the promises that are on the sheet?
Yeah. So I promise I'll never hurt you. That's a promise that I actually give when I first touch somebody. When my hands first go on them, I always say, I promise I'll never hurt you. If that's a concern, you can just let it go now. A promise in the telehealth, it sounds like, Sally, the purpose of today is to figure out if I'm the right person to serve you. If I am, I'll take great care of you. I'm the best at what I do. If I'm not, I'll put you in the hands of who would be a better fit. I promise you I won't waste your time or your money. Is that okay with you, Sally? And I get the agreement back from her. So those are the main promises. And this is all inside of Staffless Practice Academy in the Importance of Certainty with Russ Rosen. He's brilliant at promises and agreements for the initial consultation. So you guys, this certainly isn't something that you have to do. This is just something that I have found really protects me when specifically around chemicals and what people choose to put in their body and on their body. I don't always feel safe not knowing what's coming into my office. I'm even affected by perfume. So that's one of the things on my telehealth that I check off. Please, Sally, don't wear perfume when you come to my office. I'm really sensitive to it. Because if she walks in smelling like Estee Lauder, right, I'm not going to give her a good service because I'm going to be so freaking dizzy from the perfume. So these are things that over years, if you're a smoker, Sally, like I'll see in her history of that form that she's a smoker. If somebody walks into my office smelling like an ashtray, I can't concentrate. So I'll say, if you are a smoker, can you do me a favor and just bring a clean change of clothes and wait to come in until, like, take a shower, come in, and then have a cigarette when you're done, or maybe a couple of hours after your session. I don't want to smell it. I'm too old for it, you know? Yeah. Another thing that comes up a lot is I used to have a practice inside of a CrossFit gym. So people would come wet like they'd come with sweaty shirts, and I literally can't feel their energy through the wet. Like it's a great energy. Like people use water to hold energy, right? Or to disperse energy. So I say to them, if you're coming from a run or a workout, or if it's a really heavy sweater, I get that some people sweat a lot. This is my opportunity to say to them, do me a favor and just keep a dry shirt in your car. That's all I need. Learn the hard way, learned all of this the hard way. So please take my notes, please take my experience and run with it. And you know, this is, last week we talked about protecting time, energy, money. And these are the things that I didn't give myself the permission to take time to plan for when I was in my 30s, like when I was in early practice. In my 40s, it got even harder to do this, right? Like Veronica, for example, one of my favorite people on the planet, she's a therapist. She's the therapist. She is like the person to walk people through stuff going on that they're trying to figure out, right? She has to have boundaries around time, energy, money, or she will end up hiding in a closet with Post-its all over herself, you know? So these are the things that if we just take the time to prepare to protect time, energy, money, when we're with the difficult clients, all we're going to be doing is giving them great care, because that's what, in my opinion, that's what God put me on the planet to do, not to be distracted by perfume.
Right.
Right? What else, you guys? Can you imagine if you went to a doctor and before you went in, like, let's talk about a dentist. If you went to a dentist and before you even stepped foot in their office, the dentist took 15 minutes out of their day to just listen to you tell them all about it, how much safer you would feel walking into their office.
Absolutely.
Right? If that would not do it for you, then don't do this. If you're like, that's a complete waste of time, then this isn't a solution for you. For me, it would make me feel 10 times safer to walk into their office. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, when I say that, like, I wouldn't want to meet with their office manager. I'd want to meet with a doctor. I'd want to know that they're safe and that they're not going to hurt me, because that's where I'm going. That's where my concern is. What else, you guys?
What's the right way to burp a baby?
What's the right way? Okay, I'm going to stop recording at that and I'll answer your question.